Hey guys, Shui here, episode 14 of the No Shui Out podcast. Appreciate everyone listening. Got a lot of great response from my episode I did number 12 with SE Card Company and with Mad Collects for episode 13. Again, best way to support if you're open to supporting, share. Please share on your platforms, guys. It helps a lot. Just retweeting it, posting on your IG, even in your story helps a lot. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, text them, all that jazz. Make sure to follow me on Whatnot at Shui Nostalgia. And make sure to check out the Shui Wrestling Network at shuiwrestling.net or cop a shirt at shuinostalgia.com. If you know me, you know that I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks. I'm going on tour with the band Teen Mortgage. If you would like to meet me, I'm more than down to do that. Still a weird concept to me. Feel free to come out to any of the shows. Come say hi to me. Cop a shirt, whatever. Enjoy yourself. I'll be around. I'll just be working, so I'm down to hang out. Oh, all right. Well, the thing got a little messed up, but we're back. So today, I'm gonna do a little short episode by request from my guy Ouija, aka Jason. Great dude, one of the best people I've met in the hobby. He asked me, he was like, "Hey Shui, would you ever consider doing an episode just about how you collect? I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on collecting." And I will do a quick little summary of that. So how I collect, basically, I've had people tell me that I don't collect because I'm a card breaker. That's not true. Originally I got into this when I first started collecting cards. It was actually because AEW Series 1 came out, and I was like, you know what, like if I was going to get into wrestling cards, it'd be cool to get into the ground floor or something. So getting AEW cards for their initial release, I thought would be cool. And then Panini Prism came out, and originally I was trying to collect the whole Series 1 set as much as I could. So what that means: base, gold, all the inserts, base gold, silver, autos, all base relics, as much high-end stuff as I could. And as I was doing that, it was just way too much for me to handle doing like a whole set as a collector. So I quickly, after not quickly, 6 months of trying to do that, I just was like, I still kind of collect, but I just was like, you know what, like I just don't have this in me. So I started to be a more specific collector. And what that means is, I kind of look at my personal collection, or as some people say, PC. I'm going to try to get better at, when we use abbreviations and nicknames for stuff, I'm going to try to get better at actually like explaining what they mean. So for me, what I personal collect is I'm a prospector, is how I look at it. And I'm trying to build up my portfolio. So I'll try to grab like high-end rookie cards from people. I usually will try to find people that I think have high-end potential, but maybe are a little bit slept on. For example, if you know me, I'm a big Carmelo Hayes collector. When I first started collecting Carmelo, he was not that high up on the card. He was not, when I would get into breaks or when I'd buy his singles, his stuff was going relatively cheap at the time. And I had seen minimal of his work, but certain wrestlers, certain actors, certain musicians, even with limited amount of work, I kind of just get this gut feeling where I'm like, yeah, I can see this guy going somewhere. So I started heavily investing in Carmelo. Now that he's a little bit more popular, I wouldn't say pulled back, but I don't buy as much Carmelo stuff as I used to unless I find good deals, just because now the competition for Carmelo is a lot higher than when I started. I have over 10 Carmelo 101s. I think I have 14. I have to double check. But when I was like getting into this initially, like there was not much competition as far as getting Carmelo Hayes stuff. And then in AEW, I started getting into Jade Cargill again. I saw Jade when she first came on AEW. She was in the crowd during the pandemic. I didn't know her name. I didn't know if she even wrestled. I just saw her and I like hit up my friend and I'm like, who's that? Because I just saw her, and besides being absolutely drop dead gorgeous, she just had major it qualities to me. There's certain people you look at, as Vince McMahon used to say, passing the eye test. She's someone who definitely passes the eye test. You see her and you're like, I don't know what she does, but she looks like $1,000,000. She looks like a star. And that was the vibe I got from Jade. So I started collecting her a lot when she was in AEW, when she first came out. And there was, slightly, when it comes to collecting women's cards, it's always a little bit harder than most guys, because there's, regardless of how good of a wrestler, or how over, or how popular a lady may be, from my experience on Whatnot and within the wrestling card hobby, I feel like there's always someone who collects every lady on the roster, which dudes wise, it's much harder to find, BOA collectors, shout out Bomber Don, or like top dollar collectors, shout out Nine Nine SoFly. So it's one of those things where, like, when I started collecting Jade, it was a little bit more expensive, but I knew there was a good upside. So I was like, all right, well, let me start collecting her. I also started collecting Grayson a bit, Grayson Waller, that is, from WWE, and MJF. The problems with that is I like Grayson. I don't believe in Grayson as much as Mello. I kind of feel like he might be drifting into that, like, all right, is his peak being like a new Miz, or getting stuck in that Austin Theory treadmill of like kind of being relevant but not really getting the full push. There's a lot of what ifs with him, and I see the vision with him, but I just don't ever know if he's going to get, his cards are going to go higher than they are now. That's just me. I mostly started buying him because when I would get into breaks, he had a triple auto with Braun, Breaker, and Carmelo and Immaculate, so I kind of bought Grayson because he was cheaper than Braun, and then if the triple auto hit, I had a 66% chance of getting it. So that was pretty much my feeling on Grayson. With MJF, obviously, he's just, besides being one of the top prospects, well, I wouldn't say prospects, but one of the top wrestlers in the world, and a prospect when I started, for me, it was also like, oh, wow, like, this may sound funny to some, but a really popular Jewish wrestler. And as a Jewish guy, I was kind of like, let me, I was already interested in him because I'm like, wow, he's really good. But then the Jewish thing put him over the top for me personally, just because there's not much of us in the industry, let alone people who have top billing besides Goldberg, who most people seem to hate. No offense if you like Goldberg. So I started collecting MJF stuff, but it's just not as frequent because it costs so much more. I'd rather pick up, 4 or 5 nice Jade or Mellow cards at the time versus one MJF card, even though I do believe the long-term value is there. I'd be curious to see how his value goes if he ends up going to WWE, because personally I think that might hurt his value, because being the big fish in the small pond at AEW, he's the top guy and he has a lot of creative freedom. Going to WWE, to me, could hurt his card value. So I'm always, for me, I'm always looking for unique opportunities as far as like prospecting, and then I'll look for like, I don't know if I'd call it mainstay pieces, but just pieces that I feel like are going to withstand the test of time. So I was able to pick up recently one of the Stone Cold, I believe it's 2001 range Fleer on-card autos, which was like his first on-card auto. And, the one I got's not in the best condition, but it's a piece I wanted to have in my collection as like a long-term hold. And, in the future, I hope to get a nicer one. And when I mean that, just like perhaps graded, or just like cleaner in terms of like, just being in better shape than the one I bought. So things like that is what I look for. And then, like 101s, low numbered cards of bigger names. I used to say on Whatnot a lot. I stopped saying it as much because a couple people got offended, which I thought was funny. But to me, like, I collect opportunity, so like, you'll find a card of someone big, like for example, I was combing around doing my random search trying to find stuff, and I lucked into finding an Io Shirai 101 at a very, very, very good price. So I just bought it, and I was, she's someone where I'm like, all right, I see her going up in value. I see like the booking getting better. She's great in the ring. I really like her. And this is way before Damage Control. And I'm like, it was one of those things where I was totally prepared to just keep it. And then, I posted it and someone hit me up and gave me an offer I couldn't refuse and I sold it. But I would have been happy keeping it just because I'm like, hey, Io Shirai Ringside 101. If I'm not going to get what I want, I believe in her enough where I just feel like it's a decent hold for me. So I really just try to weigh the pros and cons of finding cool stuff and knowing when to sell it. Because I know when I first got into selling cards, there was a couple times where, for example, when Prism first came out, I hit a Stone Cold Mojo Auto to 25. And I was like, whoa, holy shit, this is amazing. And I go on eBay and the comps are like a couple grand. I'm like, whoa, this is dope. And I just didn't, I wasn't as hip to market trends because I was newer to the hobby, and I should have sold it. And I didn't. And now some of those cards are only going for like a couple hundred versus a couple thousand. And there's a couple cards that I regret doing that with. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have done the same thing just because, I didn't know, we didn't know. It's one of those things where it's like sometimes you learn. So, I try to go by the famous Boston Celtics coach mantra or motto. And this is a paraphrase, but it's better to move an asset slightly too early than slightly too late, if that makes sense. So if it's a little bit early, or if I get an offer and it's not quite what I want, but it's realistically is it close enough with especially if you're not doing a deal on Whatnot or eBay, if you're doing something offline, it's like, all right, well, taking into account the fees and this, would I rather just get the money now and invest it in something else, or just hold on to this and hope it goes up? So I've been trying to weigh those options and go sooner in terms of moving certain stuff, because there's a couple bigger cards I moved recently that I've been holding on to a bit, and I got for example, the Bret Hart gold bar 101 from Impeccable. Someone hit it in the break. I DM'd them. I didn't really think I would end up getting it, and then next thing you know, I bought it. And I need to get better at posting shit on eBay. I just never posted on eBay, and I should have, but I didn't, just because I got caught up doing other stuff. The joys of being a one-man business, where it's sometimes you just got to take a day off and just list stuff on eBay and do other things. But I get, I'm so ADD, I get caught up, and I ended up getting a good offer for it. And I'm like, you know what, I could hold on to this, and maybe in a year, maybe it's worth an extra $500, maybe, but I don't think so. It's kind of a guess. There's another Impeccable coming. It's all guessing, guys. It's all guessing. So that's kind of where my mind is and I really like collecting stuff that brings me joy. So if it's a unique card, or if it's just something that is something that brings back good memories. I got a couple boxes of vintage Marvel cards that I would love to break down and see if any of them are good, so I can try to grade some. But that's a whole, I don't know anything about Marvel cards. I know minimal about Marvel, but it's something that just brings me joy. So that's kind of a little tidbit of going into my thought when I collect and stuff. It's just, for me, I'll focus in on certain people when I'm prospecting, and then I'll kind of just look for opportunities in the market and just look for unique pieces and all that stuff. And unintentionally, I've been collecting a lot of wax, which wasn't really my intent, but I've been finding solid deals here and there. So yeah, sorry, I'm a bit of a ramble. I'm literally about to leave in less than an hour, but I just really wanted to get another podcast together before I left. Hopefully I can put together another one for you guys while I'm gone. I get back on April 8th. The last show is the 7th. Again, if you have any interest, I posted on my Instagram. You can also, check out Ashway Nostalgia on Instagram, Twitter, at teen_mortgage. They have the dates for their tour coming up. I'd love to see y'all. I'd love to meet up with y'all. If you live in Chicago, DM me. I'm going to do a little meetup, I think, at Portillo's for folks who live in the Chicagoland area. We can get lunch and shoot the shit or whatever and chop it up. But again, just want to thank everyone for listening. If you can, I know I'm a broken record, please like, share, subscribe. I know some of you are like, Shui, I don't have that many followers. I get it. Sometimes they feel like, hey, like my retweet doesn't really matter, my share doesn't really matter. It really does. I want to keep doing stuff like this. I'm building something here as far as like listeners going up and like, subscribers going up. But I know we could do a lot of cool stuff moving forward. So again, if you can, please like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you listening, and I look forward to seeing you guys again when I get back off tour. Thanks.